The dry summer of 2022 taught us a thing or two about the need to water newly planted plants in the garden here at Caerhays. And if we look around, we're standing in the tin garden, which was replanted 4 years ago, having previously been covered in trees. You can see lots of young new rhododendrons and other plants. And the shed in front of us was once used when this was a tin garden with tin sides used for propagating and growing on daffodil hybrids in the 1880s. The shed still survives, and previously, as we'll see around here, there was a small water butt for catching water from a gutter on the roof. We've covered this over because we don't want children jumping in it, and equally we don't want small birds or mammals falling into it. And the amount of water which this tank collected was fairly minimal and really just used for a watering can when there were vegetables and dry daffodils here. So faced with the problem of carrying water all the way up here in large containers, we thought we'd better make a start and do something about it. So we put up a new gutter system, put up a new water tank, and the connection here in the downpipe, which looks quite small, is a mechanism for filtering out any leaves which blow down the gutter so they don't go into the water tank. You might argue that the base of this water tank is probably too big for the size of the tank, and you may well be right, but you've got to raise these tanks off the ground because we've got to be able to put a large container here to be able to catch the water which we've collected off the roof. And that was the largest tank that we could find, which takes around about 500 gallons. 12,501 litres according to whatever the conversion rate is, but anyway, there we go. So we've now got a water supply. It has cost us the cost of a tank and a bit of new guttering, but what we'll save in labour for having to carry water all the way up here to the top of the garden, we'll now have all the water we need in one place at one time, all free, all collected from nature. So here we are at another structure up in the top of the garden, and this is George's hut. And you can see this is a strange building. It's zinc or tin lined, and actually it's on wheels. And this hut has a peculiar history. It was used when pheasants were reared out in the open with bantam hens, and the bantam hens stayed in the chicken coop, and the pheasants that it had reared ran around on the paths in the garden. Keepers could only rear very small numbers of birds in those days, and these huts which were towed around by a horse, were where the keeper mixed up the pheasant food. He boiled up eggs and he boiled up rabbits and mixed them with grain. There weren't pre-prepared pellets to feed to chickens or pheasants in those days, and we're going back now to before the First World War. So rearing pheasants was a difficult job, and George's hut is a remnant of that. But George's hut, of course, also has a roof, and it has gutters. And again here we've built a plinth and put a large tank on top of it, again with the filter to collect rainwater for any new plantings which we do in this area. And I know that we can all think we're making our bit, doing our bit for the environment by collecting rainwater, but actually this is a fairly simple and relatively inexpensive way of using every roof and gutter that we can find. And we've now got 5 of these structures in the garden, which will mean that we've got a good store of water exactly where we need it when the next drought or dry summer comes along. It's something we're also doing down at Burncoose nurseries, where we've got plenty of roofs on the packing sheds and where we're storing very much larger quantities of water than we're storing here, again for the day when the borehole runs dry and we're short of water in the nursery. But it's something that everyone should consider doing in their own garden because rainwater is free.